Hi, so welcome again to my videos on healing the mother line. And today we're going to talk about the really difficult subject of trauma. So, what is trauma? I mean, trauma is a very, very personal experience. We obviously can see when people have trauma, say, for instance, they are in a house fire, or they're in a war situation, or they're in a disaster. However, there is other levels of trauma, and this can cause something called complex post-traumatic stress disorder. So there is post-traumatic stress disorder, but there's also complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Complex post-traumatic stress disorder, CPTSD, is when we are inflicted with a series of mini trauma, or even not mini, traumas over a series of years. So it kind of builds up and you never really get a chance to recover from them. And this is quite often can happen when we come from a family where there's addiction or where there is narcissism, and we find ourselves in a situation where we're constantly either not getting our needs met, or we're constantly in violent situations, or we're constantly talked to or treated very aggressively. And this can bring up a trauma reaction within our bodies and minds. So it puts us into a fight, flight reaction. And when we're permanently in that fight flight reaction, so it might even just be the fear of going back home after school because of what's going to happen in the home, that also it causes a fight flight reaction. You're not actually in the situation, but you're fearing it. So when you're in that constant stress and constant fight flight, you're producing adrenaline all the time, and that is affecting your nervous system, and it starts to affect your whole system. So the way through this is to notice when you start to have these reactions, these fight flight reactions, because you might find yourself getting a trauma response, which is that adrenaline response. There's all kinds of things that can happen, tingling in the fingers. You might feel that you're shutting down. You might feel that you're just detaching from the situation. You might just not be able to find words. You might start to feel real fear. And there can be all kinds of triggers. And the best thing for that is to self-soothe and to calm and to breathe, because you need to kick in the parasympathetic system. So breathing through, telling yourself you're okay, especially if it's a trigger that you know is not necessarily a trigger today. If you are in continued triggers, perhaps that's something you need to look at with your boundaries. But yeah, big topic, this one. But yeah, just recognizing that we can all be traumatized with certain situations, and especially emotional neglect or difficult relationships with our mothers can cause trauma.